'cause I'm dangerous. I'm like a dog with no muzzle.
Hello everyone, it's me Focus, and today we will talk about the undervolting of a GPU. I will show you in detail how to work with MSI Afterburner, namely the frequency voltage curve editor. What is the undervolting? If you don't go into details and don't speak in scientific style, this is a decrease in the voltage of the GPU under load, while increasing the core frequency. As you know from the physics course, the more a video card consumes, the more it heats up. Often the creators of the video cards leave a large supply of voltage, and we will use this. An example would be my RTX 2060. When operating in 1 volt at frequency 1860 MHz, the GPU heats up to 71 degrees Celsius, and at 875 mV the card heats up to 63-64 degrees Celsius. That is, the difference of 161 mV gives us the cooling of the video card to 7 degrees. Okay, let's start. Let me tell you about the advantages of undervolting. Firstly, the power consumption of the video card decreases. For example, in my case the consumption fell by more than 30 watts. Secondly, as I said at the very beginning, temperature decrease, due to which your GPU can live much longer and not reach the overheating point. Also, undervolting solves the problem of choke squeaking a little. Because voltage and power consumption decrease, the squeak also becomes less noticeable. And of course your graphic card will run much quieter as you reduce the work of the coolers. And I will tell you about the disadvantages of undervolting by the end of the video. First, we need to install the following programs: MSI Afterburner, Heaven Benchmark and Furmark. You can also install OSST for a comprehensive system test. After installing MSI Afterburner, make sure you have the same settings. Restart the program, then create two profiles. First profile will be with default settings, the second with undervolting. We select the second, then we need to bring the power limit to the end. In my case it is 120%. The temps limit slider will also automatically reach the end if this icon is active for you. This is done to bypass the possible throttling of the GPU in case of high power requirements. Now there are two options: run Furmark or Heaven Benchmark. I will run the second one as example, as this clearly shows when the graphics card no longer can hold a point. After applying the settings like mine, you run the program. Open MSI Afterburner and keep track of what your maximum temperature will be at the highest possible stable core frequency. In my case I found out that GPU keeps stable 1860 MHz at 1036 mV and 71 degrees Celsius. Next you need to open the editor of the frequency voltage curve. This is done by the key combination Ctrl+F or pressing this button. You see graph where you have frequencies on the ordinate and voltage on the abscissa. So you see a lot of gray points. They connect and form a line. This is a curve called the frequency voltage curve. You can select any point on the graph and move it up or down, but you can move left or right. All voltage values have already been selected for you. It becomes easier for us to work with the graphs. You can move the points with the mouse or the arrow keys on the keyboard. I prefer the second option, since with it you can more accurately select the desired value. I also want to note the possibility of adding or entering the desired frequency. For this you need to click on the point, then press the Enter key. Now you can erase the offset value on the backspace and enter the desired frequency. For this you need to press the Shift plus Enter combination and enter the desired value. You can also apply the desired frequency to several points in a row. To do this, hold down Shift key and drag the blue rectangle. Click on one of the points and apply the value. All other points inside the rectangle will also take the same value. This feature of the graph will greatly facilitate our further life. Now we start the undervolting process. Our task is to be able to find the minimum possible voltage, and all points that have a voltage value greater than our minimum, I mean all those to the right of it, must have the same frequency. We are looking on the curve for the value at which our video card is currently working, and we set at this point the frequency value that you received before in the benchmark. and do the same with the subsequent points. After setting the desired value at a new point, it is recommended to start a benchmark at all stages, or wait about 10 or 15 minutes. If everything is stable, we continue to decrease at subsequent points. Note that you may not have the ideal value set. For example, instead of 1860 MHz, the program will set 1845 MHz. To do this, you need to correct it every time. As you have reached the point when Heaven benchmark crashes or it starts to freeze, stop lowering the voltage and return to the previous point. In my case, the GPU is capable of holding 1860 MHz at 875 mV. However, Heaven can crash during benchmarking. Also, there is no problem in the Furmark or SST. Therefore, I will take this margin. This is the previous point, 881 mV. The difference between them in the worst case gives me about 1 degree as the maximum load of the video card. But this is not so critical. We save our profile. Once again, we make sure that there are no problems with voltage.
Stop it.
To do this, run Furmark for 10 or 15 minutes with the following settings. You need to set the maximum screen resolution, in my case it will be 1080p. We don't need to enable full screen because we will need to monitor the state of the video card through the MSI Afterburner program. Turn on the artifact scanner. You can also turn on card data monitoring. Choose OpenGL 3D test, but with the one important condition. To make sure that we have no artifacts at all, we need to load the video memory as well. To do this, you need to know how much memory your card has. I'm talking about video memory, not RAM. You can find out the amount of video memory anywhere, but the fastest way to do this is through the task manager. I know that my GPU has 6 GB of video memory, so I choose Furmark plus 5200 MB video RAM. If you have 2 GB, then 1700, 4 GB, 3200, more than 6 GB, 6500 MB video RAM. Click GPU stress test. The task is to prevent the scanner from finding a single artifact. You also need to constantly check if the video card keeps the specified frequency at the specified voltage. If the frequency drops, then try to manually increase it again. If it doesn't help, then the maximum frequency under load is slightly lower, and it is equal to that which the GPU is currently holding. Problems that you may have, or disadvantages of undervolting. First, after cold start of the system, your frequency voltage curve breaks. Yes, you can't avoid this in any way, because several years ago the manufacturers of graphics card abuse the function of dynamically changing the frequencies of a GPU depending on its temperature. You will have to reapply the profile every time and, for example, using the graph capabilities that I told you about at the very beginning, reset the values you found. Also, after receiving the first load on the video card from a game or program, I advise you to open MSI Afterburner and make sure that everything works as you said. As I said, the frequency changes with the temperature of the video card. Most likely, instead of 1860 MHz, you can have, for example, 1845 MHz. We do the above actions. Second, your games may crash. Yes, this is really possible. Basically, the problem is with games that are created on the Unreal Engine, because the engine is not very friendly with the undervolting and overclocking of the video card. I observed this, for example, while playing Samurai Jack. You can solve this problem by limiting your FPS. Third, your game may crash if you use the ray tracing and undervolting at the same time. And the fourth problem you can only come up with yourself. I noted only what I observed in my practice for 4 months. Well, I hope my video was useful and informative. If you still have questions, you can ask them in the comments. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.